Good morning. It's wonderful to be with you today. I want to share with you something very dear to my heart and personal. Praising Allah in the sanctuary. We're going to talk about loving our religious neighbors through musicking. Now, I was driving to an evangelical church with my Israeli-born friend, Summer. It was a typical balmy Southern California evening, but it would not be a typical service in that church that evening. Summer, whose given name is Samir, but Americans don't know how to pronounce it, and I first met in a Middle Eastern music ensemble that brings people together originally from North Africa and the Middle East and others to enjoy the music of their cultural heritage. Like that group, this event would celebrate Middle Eastern music. As we entered the church, I find lighthearted laughter and joy as a diversity of people, among them both Muslims and Christians, anticipate the evening's concert. And to be honest, I was in shock because greeting me at the narthex were three beautiful Muslim young women dressed in their brightly colored hijabs. Wait a minute, I thought I was coming to a church. Now, the concert began with the West African griot from Senegal performing on the kora, a 21-string harp lute. And this man told about his kora and how on it he had Allah written across the back of it. He was there to serve God, and it was his joy to make a contribution to the evening. The concert proceeded with more Middle Eastern music, followed by an informative intermission. For you see, one of the church leaders explained how a number of local churches have been coming together to help Syrian refugee children get established in their local American schools and find a place within the larger Southern California community. To round off the evening, a long-established Jordanian immigrant of Palestinian descent comes forward and begins playing his oud. Would you please play the clip for me? That'll help me. Okay, I'll get it. As a Christian, you see he was an Arab Christian, he sang Salam, Salam, Ya Rabbi Salam, meaning peace, peace, oh my Lord, peace. It's a song that evokes a wistful longing and nostalgia for everyone in the room. Next, he sings How Great Thou Art, alternating between Arabic on the verses and English on the chorus. His intention is that everyone in the audience can participate at some point. But then, he launches into a well-known Arabic folk song, totally shifting the dynamics of the concert. The song evokes a nostalgia of better times and of being at home. Slowly, hesitantly, yet with growing momentum, the Middle Eastern newcomers move to the front of the auditorium, the sanctuary, and start to line dance. Men clasping hands, holding them high in the air with large smiles on their faces. Now the church members and the local community gingerly come forward, attempting to join in. Young women in their hijabs bring out their smartphones to capture the excitement. It's a spontaneous moment where multiple barriers are breaking down. Joy and delight abound. So what just happened? That night, an Arabic folk dance migrated along with refugees into a local church half a world away from its origins and brought joy and hope to all involved. The church, located not far from where an Islamic terrorist attack had just taken place, not only sponsored a benefit concert that evening, they also fostered a peace-building event via music making. What then are the dynamics behind the performing arts and peace building? In today's global era, where sounds of violence and conflict mute any sounds of joy and delight in God-giving life, musicking and the performing arts are joining hands in innovative approaches to peace building. This takes place through the building of healthy relationships central toward working towards peace. As John Paul Lederach argues, peace building requires a vision of relationship. He maintains there must be a capacity to imagine, quote, the canvas of mutual relationships and situate oneself as part of a historic and ever-evolving web, unquote, or peace-building efforts will collapse. Enter the performing arts. They function as agents for building relationship. Not only do they foster moments of imagining mutual relationships, but they also have the potential to propel people into experiencing one another as human beings. Significantly, Lederach observes that the artistic 5 minutes, I have found rather consistently when it is given space and acknowledged as something far beyond entertainment, accomplishes what most of politics has been unable to attain. It helps us return to our humanity, a transcendent journey that, like the moral imagination, can build a sense that we are, after all, a human community. Building a sense of human community through the arts emerges based on a range of metaphors that allow people to rise above the actualities of their current life situations. In peace building, the performing arts serve as embodied metaphors on multiple levels. Not only do they metaphorically speak into our inner lives, creating spaces of imagination, but they also move us into experiencing and interacting with one another. The strength of the performing arts is just that. They are meant to be experienced, often moving people into deeper levels of communication. They are building a sense of human community. Let's look at a key concept here, that of musicking, which embraces all activities related to a concert. It helps us to further understand this aggregation. At the Festival of World Sacred Musics, you have people coming from all over the world, and on the stage in Morocco, you have musicians from all over the world, mainly out of the Arabic, Muslim traditions and Christian traditions, with two groups. Each group, one group is Muslim, the other group is Christian. I'd never seen anything like it before. Performing arts, then, and what they were doing is they were showing they create social spaces where people can interact. We know that performance is a rich and complex social affair wherein group meaning is processed and negotiated. It's important for us to be aware of that. And we don't often assume that or recognize that. So let's go back and talk about these musical spaces of relating that foster and negotiate relationships. We can look at them across a continuum of 5 different levels and stages. And these are, we see them there, enmity and exclusion, borrowing from Miroslav Volf, actually, encounter with others, engaging with one another, embracing and relating as neighbors. In stage one, enmity and exclusion, we have the potential and the possibility of bringing together peoples of different nationalities, such as newly arrived Syrian refugees and a local Southern Californian church community, Christian community, who had not had any previous long-term contact. Now they have the opportunity to come together around a music event. Second, let's move to stage 2, which is the encounter. New neighbors are entering into the musical space and finding themselves encountering peoples of different faiths, nationalities, and languages. They're actually rubbing shoulders. I mean, my shock at being welcomed in the narthex of what I considered would be one of my potential home churches by Muslim women. Hey, I'm not used to this. But okay, we're coming for music. The benefit concert provided a space to meet the needs of the newcomers while also providing an opportunity to share common interests and, above all, demonstrates a willingness to be together. Stage 3. Musical performance became the main reason for coming together, inviting West African and Middle Eastern performers. The musicians and their unique musics were signs of generous hospitality. The host church recognizes the importance of a people's home music as a significantly important thing to do. Indeed, a people's cultural music is an important part of their identity. Rather than forcing them to listen to what I grew up on, Bach, Beethoven, and Brahms, the church said, no, let's learn about you through your music. As the evening developed, the long-term locals could begin to sense the distinctive differences between music cultures. They were entering into Middle Eastern ways of life and identity. This became especially evident when the concert moved beyond mere listening and led into participatory elements of dancing, clapping, and affirming vocal exclamations, even, common to many non-Western musics. While some were fully engaged, others were still proceeding on a listening-only level. And then the pivotal moment occurred, and the concert participants moved into a full embrace of one another. Notice that when the Christian musician on his oud moved to a well-known folk tune that's of the earth, of the ground that the people come from, the people knew what to do. And it became it recognized their identity. And it was a way of the church saying, yeah, they gave freedom for the man to do it. And the whole focus moved to people dancing in front of the altar. I was amazed. I didn't tell you the story, and I'm going to do it real quick here, where at the end, when it finished, wait a minute. A young 3-year-old girl, there's crying, there's weeping. And she's talking to her mother, and her mother bends over in her beautiful hijab. Means she's Muslim, right? And I'm saying to Summer, Samir, tell me what she's saying. So what's she saying? And the little girl's saying, why does the music have to stop? She could sense the joy and the delight, and she longed for it. So stage number 5, relating as neighbors. This is what we long for. The talking in the room rose to a peak level as the music finally stopped. People were in no hurry to leave. The excitement carried on, and for many, there was a desire to continue on, to not let the music stop. Here it is, the potential for living together as neighbors in peace and the groundwork for deeper dialogues of sharing life and one's faith in God had been established. In sum, peoples from different walks of life can freely enter into musical spaces of relating at different levels. We all enter at different levels. Some people are still in the enmity and exclusion. Others are already embracing each other. They find their common humanity through performing arts like music making and experiences the possibilities of living together as neighbors. They promote peace building through performances, through musicking in a world that is divided. Finally, what happens is loving our religious neighbors through musicking offers us opportunities to move closer to what the psalmist said when he said how good and pleasant it is when brothers, God's people, live and dwell together in unity. Thank you.